Hey, baseball fans. Backfields Media, Tim Lowry here, and we are continuing our early season 2031 prospects countdown. This episode will be prospects 125 to 101. Let's jump right into it. And we have at 125, already in the major leagues, starting catcher for the Sacramento Athletics, Louis Alcantara. So obviously he won't be on this list at the end of the season. 23-year-old right-hander, elite arm at catcher, will ultimately be an elite catcher. Has above average speed, and I'm not just saying for a catcher, just in general. Potential to swipe double-digit steals. Has doubles power. He's a smart base runner as well. Smart player altogether. Has hit well in the small sample size so far for this season. Came over as part of a huge 10-player deal with Pittsburgh, as Cody kind of asked for some of his guys that he loves from Pittsburgh to help with the rebuild from Sacramento. And good players went in both directions. As a matter of fact, we're about to talk about another one. For Alcantara, I think this is his peak, even though he is 23. But I think that peak is high enough that he's going to be playing at this level for some time. Louis Alcantara is our 125th prospect. And as promised, one of the other guys who went the other direction, Jeremy Radke, is now a second baseman in the Pittsburgh organization. In fact, of the 10 players traded in that trade, 7 of them made my top 500 prospect list. So it was some good value going back and forth there. Radke's a natural defender at second. He's got plus range. He handles the double play pretty well. Good batting eye. Potential plus batting eye overall. Good range defensively. Think he could potentially play some on the left-hand side of the infield. The arm is a little weak. Will slot in much better as a second baseman, I think. Above average ability for quality contact in the future. Works hard. Hey, he can play up the middle and has a decent hitting profile. This is going to be a guy who's going to be in the majors for a while. I see him as kind of a second division starter. Or if he's on a much better club, something more of a role player, could potentially start for them as well. Jeremy Radke slots in at 124 in the rankings. San Diego's Juan Moreno, left-handed first baseman. He's 23 years old. Can hit the ball a long way. Really jumps off the page at you, his gap and his overall power. The eye is near elite, so he knows how to find his pitch. Will draw a few walks. It's a classic 3 true outcomes guy, if there ever was one. He's already eMLB ready in power terms. Has 0 secondary skills. He is not a good fielder. He is not fast. Interestingly enough, in the development lab this past offseason, he worked on the quality of his contact and was successful. So if that continues to improve, just makes him a more valuable prospect. But again, as I said in an earlier episode, guys with top-level skills, 70 and above skills, get noticed for those as opposed to the guy who's just overall average good at everything and would be a long-term major leaguer. I think San Diego will make every effort to help this guy be successful. He's got the smarts. He is currently on the major league roster. He hit his first homer on April 25th. He's a power DH, probably low in the lineup. Don't know how he'll do when more well-rounded hitters come into play there. And I don't know whether this is just a cup of coffee or whether he stays. But Juan Moreno is the 123rd prospect. And here's another guy who's already made the majors. Mets starting pitcher, right-hander Edward Cabrera, 6'5", already a plus fastball, headed towards elite category. He has 5 pitches right now that are above average as a major leaguer. As you see, can hit triple digits on the gun and still throws a heavy ball, is not going to give up many homers, more of a ground ball pitcher type. Struggles a little bit with control. It's not all the time, but he will run into games. As you see that personality thing where the mind tends to wander, he will have games where he doesn't walk a soul. And then he'll have games where he walks 6. But just a little bit all over the place, inconsistent with the control. So that's a concern. He puts himself first. And as I'm finding more and more, the personality traits that you know, not trying to eat dinner with this guy, it's just, he is what he is, and he's still a more than quality major leaguer despite that. I see him ultimately being a number 2 or number 3 starter in a rotation. The Mets are doing him justice this year. He's the 5th starter, and he's done okay so far. Like him, again, probably not going to be in the second half rankings. Edward Cabrera is 122. Ben Pugh ranks 121st in our top 200 list. 19-year-old left-handed first baseman for Colorado. Hits line drives. Good, hard, high contact, high quality contact guy as well. Bit of a free swinger. As you can see from the avoid K and I, those are very low. That's going to have to come up. That said, very young. Expect him to mature and to build those skills a little more. He's already a major league first baseman defensively, potentially elite. Even to the point with his range and his arm, he's serviceable at both second and third, although I don't think anyone would ask him to play there ultimately at 6'5". But he could slot in for an inning or two or a couple of games, even has shortstop capability, which I don't think he will play at the major league level. He's got 0 speed. So and again, I would like to see him work on his launch angle as he gets older, get some of those line drives up a little higher. As you can see, his home run rank numbers in 50-some games, only like 4. I'd like to see him, I think it would be good for him to, at some point, get some full season minor league play, maybe next year, and see what he does with the extra time to develop. I think he's going to be a starting first baseman. I think how valuable he turns out to be will really depend on how his power grows and what he does with the eye and avoid K long term. But I definitely think he's got a spot to make the majors. Ben Pugh at 121. Robbie Smaniato for San Diego, left-handed first baseman, very young, in rookie ball. Profile rates are pretty good. It's above average. pretty much across the board except for I and avoid K. His OTP scouting comment said he had good pitch recognition. And I see that up at 33 at the age of 18. That definitely qualifies. His power could be a plus. He's already a plus defender at first base. He has limited value elsewhere. He really doesn't have the arm to play anywhere but at first. The range isn't great, but he's 6'3". It'll work out. So I think that's where he will end up. Well, either that or DH. Good focus and concentration. He's an extreme pull hitter on the ground, and he's a line drive hitter as well, and with good contact. Those guys tend to play a lot in the majors. First round pick in 2030. I see him ultimately being a DH for a second division team, but also could go well past that. He currently ranks 120th in our rankings. Juan Aleos, 16-year-old left-handed center fielder for Detroit in their international complex. It's easy to get swept up in that potential, isn't it? Especially with the power numbers. Looks to be a plus power hitter, both with gap and the traditional power. His scouting report in Out of the Park said he hits high velocity pitches well above his age. And I will take that. And the fact that he's in the 20s already at 16, he could be something special. Kind of a little excited about this. Going to go out on a limb with this guy a bit. Great eye, potentially, has the ability to make quality contact with two strikes. Projects to a corner outfield. That's really going to need some work. The range isn't where I think it should be, and I just think some training would get there. You know, he's a tall, lean guy, would expect a little bit more speed, and I think that will come with education, some coaching. Already above average in terms of error rate, decent arm. I don't see him as a center fielder long term. Good all-around gifts. The thing with a guy like this is he's not going to be the 119th guy. I'm either rating him way too low or he's way too high. It's basically a coin flip. So he's kind of here in the middle. He would have been much higher, but I dinged him kind of harshly because of the age and the fact he's in an international complex. He would have been well into the top 100 list otherwise. Juan Alejos is our 119th prospect. Colorado's Ed Doolittle comes in at 118, left-handed center fielder. Elite speed, really jumps out at you. A great stolen base guy. I expect him to be in the 35 to 40 range ultimately, and is even a better base runner than that. Above average contact, excellent defender. He's already major league ready at center field, could play there. Uses speed everywhere. You see it in the range, really helps. The low eye kind of hurts him as a potential leadoff hitter. Probably is going to drop him lower in the order if he can't get on base enough. So the contact is really going to have to max out. With the gap power and his speed, he could be potentially a league leader in triples at some point. And if that power grades out to average and he's hitting 15 to 20 homers, ultimately, he could be a special player. I fully expect him to be a full-time center fielder. by the time he is in the major leagues. I think he's going to be a good player. Whether he would be good enough to play every day on a playoff team remains to be seen, but he's close. Ed Doolittle is the 118th prospect. Coming in at 117 is CCP Loki Swayman. He is Witchy Hockey Mom's CCP. Witchy Hockey Mom is our clothing of choice here at Backfields Media. 22-year-old right-handed catcher is Swayman, ranked number 8th by OSA. So very promising. Definitely great all-around defensive ratings, as you see. This is going to be an elite catcher as well. The batting profile looks to be above average in everything but gap power. I fully expect a lot of that to come true because, again, this is a CCP. There are boosts. I want to see that bat develop before I get as excited as OSA is. Swayman came over in a trade, was originally drafted by the Giants, and was traded to Cleveland. I think this is their catcher of the future. Massive upgrade from Forrest Heitert, and Heitert was no slouch. So Swayman is good. Rank them at 117th here at this point. Coming in at 116, Zach Neto, left shortstop for the Cleveland Guardians. 23-year-old right-hander, could already play shortstop at the big league level, in my opinion. Great range, tremendous arrow and arm, and hangs in traffic beautifully on the double play, is fearless when it comes to that. Slightly below average offense. Worked on their gap power in the offseason in the development lab this year, struggled a bit with that. But the defense is going to play. This is an average offensive player. The speed is average as well. It's going to come down to how well the bat develops in the high minors as to how much playing time Zach gets. Is he a starting shortstop? I think that will come down to the bat. Cleveland prefers those good defensive guys with ground ball pitchers. He slots right in perfectly with them. Zach Neto is the 116th prospect in our list this year. Jared Salinas is the 115th prospect, the Giants left fielder. 21-year-old left-hander. At 21 and already has a plus eye. That's awesome. Also, already makes above average quality contact. The power grade is more towards the gap power as opposed to over the fence. An above average defender is definitely going to be a corner outfielder. I think the arm being at 58 could play in right, but that just kind of feels like we're headed towards left field with that arm. Good leadoff potential, but the average speed, no, not leadoff, good second hitter potential, number 2 hitter. The lack of speed might drop him in the order. It depends on the team philosophy, really. I think this is going to be a very good bat long term in the major leagues. I fully expect in and around the high 290s, 300 range for Jared. I don't think there's going to be a lot of slugging. I do expect, doubles is where the extra base hits are going to come from. This will be a good player. He'll have every chance to slot into the major league team in the years to come as they work to try to give their two-way stars some extra breathing room and a lot less workload on them. Salinas is 115. At 114, Danny Brennan, Cincinnati Reds. Left-handed first baseman, plus contact, and the eye looks like it's going to be plus as well. The solid contact is already here. Hits line drives to all fields. Also, with the power is average now, will probably ding up a little higher. So we'll see like 10 to 15 homers a season, possibly even 20. The defense is below average. So is the speed. We're looking at a first base DH kind of guy, probably more so a DH. But the hitting profile is going to play at the major league level. This feels like, at least the batting profile to me, feels a little Joey Votto. And for Cincinnati, that's got to feel good. The only threat to Brennan's playing time is if there are bigger power threats at first. Someone comes in with like a 70 grade power tool, they're going to play. But Brennan is a professional hitter. So I think he's definitely going to be a force on the Reds, especially in Great American. Danny Brennan is 114. Seattle, Ismael Tarico. Oil Can is a 23-year-old switch hitter, already the backup second baseman with the Mariners. You can kind of see why. Potential elite eye, already a plus eye. Has the major league ability to hit the ball already. Drives the ball to the gap extremely well. This is a potential 40 doubles a year guy once he gets settled in and is playing every day. Concern about the quality contact being as low as it is with all the other skills being as high. I don't know whether that's a discipline issue, concentration, or whether there's just something that pitchers are seeing in him that they're taking advantage of. The defense, good, above average, range. Another guy who plays in traffic very well, is not afraid to take the ball at second and fire it to first with the runner barreling down. This is a good overall prospect. I see him being a long-time solution at second base for Seattle or whoever he ends up with. Like this overall profile for him. Ismael Tarico is at 113. At 112, I've been going back and forth about this guy quite a bit, but hear me out. Right-handed shortstop for the Twins, Jorge Moreno, coming in at 112. Phenomenal speed, just really great skills, and you can see it's consistent. I feel like the aggressiveness is right in line with his ability, so no real issues there. Defensively, has the potential to be a good second baseman. I don't see him being a shortstop long term. Has the arm. He could come over to third base for an inning or two. Could even see some time in left with his speed. He hustles out every ground ball, but he just seems to not be very focused on the defensive side. A lot of errors. Doesn't seem like sometimes he's paying attention. The eye bothers me as well. Very underdeveloped compared to where his other offensive skills are, and even where his eye is expected to be. He's got some catching up to do. And I don't know whether it's a matter of, hey, he's got to see real professional games and get involved, and then that will come, or whether there's something in his work process that's just not getting it done. That said, I feel there's a lot of promise here. Speed covers a lot of sins in this game. The power is going to potentially be there as well. If he's an above average power guy with that speed, he will find playing time somewhere. And I think Moreno does slot in fairly well here. He's the 112th prospect in our list. Joe Rudin for the Cardinals, 18-year-old left-hander, came over in the Dalen Lyle trade from Milwaukee. And if Rutan maxes out his potential, he could possibly be a slightly better version of Lyle. Good speed, could potentially steal those 40 bases that he stole in high school, could potentially do that here at the major league level as well. Already major league ready center fielder. Good swing, above average power and eye grades. Uses his speed on the bases as well as in the field. You see the range far outstrips his other ability in terms of era and arm. I think that will come with age. Glad that he was looking like a Midwest League, A-ball candidate. I think the more reps he gets, I think those skills are going to be further accentuated. Good intangibles. I see him peaking as like a role player on a contender. That said, if he maxed out, Dalen Lyle was one of the top left fielders in the eMLB last year. Rutan could be the same. I think he grades out as an elite left fielder ultimately. Joe Rutan is 111 on our prospect list. Ernesto Zavala comes in at 110, the 17-year-old right-hander in the international complex. Was signed just a couple of months ago. And since I did the screen capture on this player, he's actually grown an inch. He is now 6'9". All the scouts see that power bat and it's like, oh, that's something. Potential elite power. Also, the potential for an above average quality contact. This is a raw prospect, though. But the fact that he is so well developed already in terms of power and avoid K at this young age suggests some good mechanics, and that's going to typically lead to good things. He's quiet, and I think he's going to have to, I think it's going to be a struggle to come from international complex to the minors. We're going to have to see where his adaptability is on that scale. The big thing for him is going to be learning his pitch recognition and adjust to when the leagues adjust to him. He's going to come in with a big power bat, going to start hitting home runs, and then he's going to be pitched to much differently. How does he adjust to that? And that's the thing with all of these super young prospects. They come in and they've got these great skill sets, but then when the rest of the world figures you out, what do? That's going to be the challenge for him. No speed of which to speak of. The defense is lacking as well, but again, he's young. Both of those things may come. I think he's got a better chance to improve his defense as opposed to his speed. He's a big guy. Ernesto Zavala, I think he has the potential to be special. Like another prospect earlier, 110 is probably wrong for him in a major way, up or down. We will see. I hope he. Sorry about those technical difficulties. Not to be outdone, Arturo Trujillo, San Diego, comes in at number 109, 17-year-old right-hander in their international complex. And just like with Zavala, the sky is the limit for this kid, especially with power. He's got some really good contact and high-quality contact skills as well. If this pans out, he could be beyond phenomenal. He is well ahead of most kids his age. You see these 20s, they don't look impressive overall, but for a 17-year-old to have this, kind of eye-opening. Generates great bat speed, despite the fact he's only 6'1". I mean, that's ordinary for a baseball player. Pedestrian speed, not all that great there. Defensive skills are already at average for the major leagues. Looks to be more of a corner outfielder. I think that arm is definitely going to play up into right. These numbers will get better, especially the defensive ratings down below. So he could be well above average to possibly even elite with that arm. Sharp kid, and he knows it. Already some conversation that he's probably not going to fit in well with others. People find him arrogant, condescending. Depending on the clubhouse mix, if there's some good leadership guys there, kind of toe the line, keep him in line, that would be fine. More and more I see that this thing isn't the big deal we make it out to be, as long as these guys are producing. And I think Trujillo has every chance. Again, could be a star, could be just a good guy. I think he's going to play pretty well, though. Going to watch him with interest as he gets old enough to play in the minors. Arturo Trujillo at 109. .108, our next CCP, D-Block Dragon with the Chicago White Sox, the player, not the GM. D-Block is our GM over in Tampa, doing a good job there. D-Block is an elite, soon-to-be elite second baseman, could also play shortstop well. The arm's a little suspect for shortstop, but make do. The 20-year-old right-hander has good bat speed and has above average BABIP, so he's making quality contact. The rest of the profile needs to catch up, and I suspect it will. It's just 20 years old, an A-plus ball here. D-Block's a hard worker and really shows high-level skills here. I expect him to grow into his tools. Right now, he's going to strike out too much. He's not going to walk enough. I feel like that's going to change. Both of those are going to inch up closer to average. Plus, as a CCP, boosts will go in, and I think he will just become a better, well-rounded player. He looks like a glue guy to me. One of those guys is really good at this. My comp for him is, funnily enough, James LeBlanc, who is the current White Sox second baseman. And I could see D-Block being ready to fill in at the major leagues about the time LeBlanc is considering potentially hanging it up as a White Sox. Just my thought, just kind of off the cuff, he would slot in almost. They're almost interchangeable if D-Block progresses to the level I think he will. This is going to be a long-time major leaguer, really good overall profile. I expect him to win a Gold Glove or two at second before it's over. D-Block is the 108th prospect. Coming in at 107, another CCP. This is Sean Paxler's CCP with the Toronto Blue Jays. 22-year-old right-hander Clark Reedy was as high as number 16 in the OSA rankings, has kind of fallen back a bit number 34 in the latest ones. He's a sure-handed fielder, mostly second base, but could also possibly play shortstop. Really good defensive skills, is very sure-handed. Another one of these guys who stands in the fire on a double play ball. Consistent quality contact, won't strike out, has above average eye or will, average gap power. The contact is good. I see him being a 300 hitter consistently. The speed is average. It's not going to help or hurt him per se. I expect him to be a long-term starter. He came over in the Cavacom deal, which also saw J-Rod Carew go to Philly as well. Hey, Cav. Hope you're doing well. I think Reedy is going to be the future second baseman for Toronto. He's got a couple of years before he'll push that issue, but I think he will. I feel he's going to be much higher on this list near the end of the season. We shall see. Clark Reedy is the 107th prospect. At 106, this is somebody I'm wrong on. Orion Kerkering, Chicago White Sox, 21-year-old relief pitcher, ranked 13th by OSA, was the second-round pick by the White Sox this past draft. Why do I have him so low? I have reliever bias. I'm trying to learn the error of my ways. I am an 80s baseball thinker, and I am trying to change. I really am. This is going to be an elite level reliever, already a plus slider. The fastball is going to grade out to B+, the changeup above average. Tremendous stuff, almost elite level. Is not going to give up many home runs as he gets better. I think he's been rushed to the majors right now. He's kind of gotten dinged up a little bit in early play. I don't think it's the kind of thing where his development is going to suffer because of it. This looks like, to me, where the future of relieving is going. And what I mean by that is, I think we're going to ultimately, by the time in the next 5 to 10 years, closers will not be the guys who pitch the ninth inning universally. I think we will have these high leverage relievers, and I don't know what the name is going to be for them at that point. But whether it's in the sixth inning or the ninth or anywhere in between, these game on the line moments, they will be brought in to put out the fire that exists. I think teams are getting a lot smarter. And in eMLB, we're already seeing it, where guys are brought in and they pitch a chunk of innings. Texas has been probably the trendsetter in this, is getting that one guy and workhorsing him. He's out there every other day. Kerkering could be that guy for Chicago. He could also be a traditional closer. You will see. I think there's only like one other true reliever that is ahead of him, and I hope you'll agree with me that he is better. But most of the guys showing up as relievers in this list are actually starters who were, for spring training purposes, getting relief work. Orion Kerkering is our 106th prospect. Case in point of what I was just talking about. 105 is San Diego's Steve Hess. 23-year-old left-hander, has only started in his professional career and has been a good one. Above average fastball and cutter. Sinker grades out to be a little below average at its max, and I'll get back to that in a second. He does keep the ball down significantly well. Control is a bit of an issue. It drives up his pitch counts. It was kind of noticeable in some of the games where he's only pitching 5 innings, but he's got like high 80s pitch counts. So it's really drawing it out with the control. That needs to change. He's got good velo. Would like to see the stuff improve. And I think a lot of it has to do with the sinker. As it stands right now, he really only has 2 pitches. So if Hess was to become a reliever, I totally get that. And I think there's probably more value there for him. I would like to see an off-speed breaking pitch added to his repertoire. And I know you can't order them from Amazon, but I'd be curious to see what he would do with that. Even with all that said, he's fairly close to Major League at this. I see him possibly peaking as a number 3 or 4 starter, especially if that fastball continues to improve and the home run ball continues to get. Left-handed pitchers in this league are at a premium. I think Hess would be a good one. He is the 105th prospect. At 104, Milwaukee's Greg White, 24-year-old lefty right fielder, has an elite arm at right field. Really good defensive player. Great, sure-handed, just has a gun in right field. I see him also in left, but he is a more of a traditional right-hander. In terms of the contact and the ability, above average, really good doubles power here. More than likely is going to be 30 to 35 doubles. Average power, so 15 to 20 homers. I'd like the eye to be a little bit better, but it's close. Contact is good. This is a good offensive profile. Good leadership traits. Interestingly enough, low on the intelligence side, but a high leader and is a captain. It's a rare mix. He's just got a forceful personality, and people gravitate towards him. I really like his potential for the future. Doesn't seem to take enough pitches. I think his lower home run power overall, I'll tell you how good I feel about him. I feel like his lower home run total is going to keep him out of all-star games. I feel like he is going to be a very special player. He had a really good season last year at AAA. I kind of expect to see him in the majors soon. It's Greg White with Milwaukee at 104. At 103, Cincinnati Reds' George Mendros. 25-year-old left fielder, left-handed bat, above average contact, plus gap. This is a professional hitter. Power and eye is just average, and that's okay. With the kind of contact he makes, he's a pull hitter on the ground, hits fly balls to all field, and can run. More so as a base runner than a base stealer, but very good speed, like the skill set here. Defensively, that speed has not come over into range or provided any value there. Kind of see, I mean, he could play left field. He's going to be slightly below average at best. I don't see him playing in right field, even though the arm is like barely passable. I just don't think the range works there. He's already in the majors, so he's probably not going to be here when I do the list again at the end of the season. That said, I think this bat plays for a long time in the majors, probably as a DH. As long as he keeps that contact up and the gap power up, he will have a place to play. George Mendros is our 103rd prospect. Coming in at 102, speaking of guys already in the major leagues, Joe Gadela from the Miami Marlins, 23-year-old right-hander, plus arm. Very good defensive skills in right field. Worry a little bit about the range, and it's clearly because of his speed. He just can't get to balls. So that kind of limits the impact that arm would have. But he rates out overall as an above-average right fielder. And I think that's where he possibly will ultimately play. Has power to all fields and already has above-average home run capability. And I think that's why he's in the majors. I feel like he might be a little overmatched, although he's got good contact. Coming up as he is playing major, the Marlins have struggled a little bit right out of the gate, as has he. But I think with his adaptability, I think it's a bit of an adjustment period. I don't see the Marlins where they are right now at the end of the season. And I don't see Gadela struggling either. I think he is going to be just fine. I'm curious to see just how good a year he has overall. And I think he's an impressive player. Could potentially be here for some time. Joe Gadela is the 102 prospect in eMLB. Also on the Marlins, and the last prospect we'll see in this episode, Mike Click. Again, another example of a guy who is currently being used as a reliever in Miami, but I think will ultimately be a starter. 23-year-old left-hander. Was the 12th pick overall in 2028, and I can't believe it's been that long in game. Seems like yesterday he was drafted. 3-pitch arsenal. Everyone is major league out ready right now. I think the fastball is potential to be elite. Sinker slightly better than the slider and will stay that way. Really great stuff. Good high velocity, power pitcher. Contact, he can struggle a little bit with high quality contact. I expect that to get better. The ball stays in the park with him. If you cleared out the Winter League stuff in the stats profile, everything is sub-2 ERA. And even this year in winter ball, he actually had a decent campaign, 41 innings, under 3 ERA. This is a really good pitcher. I feel like he is going to be a rotation anchor for them in the future. He's had good work in small sample size so far and just getting better. Really like him. I think he's going to be a special pitcher and will probably be getting some playoff starts a lot in his major league career. That takes us through 200 to 101 so far. Hope you have enjoyed them. Please leave a comment if you are so inclined, either on Discord or on YouTube. If you think I've missed somebody or you think I misjudged somebody, by all means. If there's something else you'd like to see from Backfields Media, let me know. Kind of have it planned out for the year, but I'm always willing to adjust. This has been a lot of fun for me. We're halfway there. Come back tomorrow as we will start our countdown into the Hot 100. And until then, I hope I was able to add a little baseball to your day. Hope the rest of your day is just as good. Talk to you tomorrow.